What's up, Coach?
What's up?
Welcome into the latest episode of What's Up, Coach. Today we are joined by Eddie Matthews, head coach of the Methodist University women's volleyball team. Coach, thanks for being here. How are you doing?
I'm doing well today. Thank you very much.
Good. I picked my wardrobe specifically for you today. This summer I've seen you rocking the Hawaiian shirts a lot. Is it a collection? What's your interest in the Hawaiian shirts?
It is a collection, but from May approximately 10th to August 1st, it's always Hawaiian shirts. So every day I'm into work in the summer, it's a Hawaiian shirt. So.
All right. Well, did you play volleyball growing up?
Growing up, no. I was a baseball player and had illusions of grandeur to be a major league player and play in college, and it just did not work out. Picked up volleyball in college, actually. So.
And that was at the University of North Carolina, correct?
That is correct. I played on the men's club team there because there was not a NCAA varsity team.
Club team. So how did that kind of lead you in the direction of coaching?
Oh, it's a long story, but the club coach was an assistant coach for the women's team at UNC, and he asked my freshman year if someone would like to help out the women's team in a multitude of different things, kind of a manager role, but I also help with practices and different things. But it's mainly a manager role my freshman year, and that was my first introduction. I was playing on the men's team at the time, my freshman year, but by my senior year, I was a student assistant for the women's team. So, and by my senior year, also I was also starting on the men's club team. So it worked out pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Did you transition after you graduated? Did you still help out at UNC?
Yes, it was one of those situations, right place, right time. The assistant coach left when I graduated, and I stepped right into that role. And so I was there until 93, and it was just a great learning experience. We won 2 ACC championships and went to the NCAA tournament and got to see my initial introduction was volleyball at the highest level.
Who all did you coach under? Would you say you had mentors that influenced you along the way?
Yeah, by far, Peggy Bradley Doppus. I talked to her probably at least every other week, still today. She's retired now. She wound up leaving North Carolina and went to University of Michigan as their head coach. And again, we still stayed in contact, but she was always the person that I could count on, I could lean on, I could always ask for advice. And she has kind of molded and shaped me into who I am now. I was fortunate enough to also, Joe Segula, who just retired this year from University of North Carolina. I was with Joe his very first year back in 1992. Again, 2 totally different styles of coaches, but still able to accomplish the same goal. You know, and there's many different ways to coach volleyball. It's just you're trying to get to that end goal of getting your kids prepared so that once the whistle blows on match day, that they're ready to compete at what level you need them to compete at.
So after your time coaching at UNC, you went to Walla Walla, Washington.
I did.
That's quite the trip.
It was one of those times when in volleyball and coaching women's sports, it's always cyclical from the standpoint of men coaching women. And at the time, I was willing to go anywhere, obviously, as evidence going to Walla Walla, Washington. So got my first head coaching job. I was there for 3 years and got to run my program my way. And it was certainly a learning experience for sure.
Mm-hmm. So you found your way back to the East Coast
Yes, I had a year stopover in Colorado Springs. I was logistical with the 1996 women's national team in Atlanta for the Olympics, and then I took the head coaching job at Georgia Southern University, and I was there for 6 years, until 2001. And so I've been at Methodist since 2001, and it's been good. It's been real good. So.
Let's back up for a sec because you mentioned Olympics, and that sounds pretty big. Tell me a little bit more about what your role was in 1996.
Oh, I was an assistant logistics director for the women's team, which is a long title, basically to say I did anything that the women's team needed. So it wasn't in a coaching capacity at all. One of my really, really good friends offered that opportunity with me. He was working with the women's team, and I jumped at it, absolutely jumped at it, just to be able to work with international level talent, and it was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Did you get to attend the Olympics?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we were right there. We had our own house. The coaching staff did, and the logistical team did, and had our own house, and training, practicing, at area gyms and that kind of stuff. But then we competed. The '96 Olympics was in the Omni, and the Omni is no longer in Atlanta, but that was where the basketball team used to compete.
Fascinating. That's awesome. So you're from Roseboro, North Carolina, is that correct?
Yes, real small town, yes.
Is that kind of what led you back to the area and coming to Methodist?
Yes and no. My wife and I were getting ready to have our second child in 2001. And we sat down, and our honest conversation back and forth was, do we want to raise our family in Statesboro, Georgia? And we loved Georgia Southern, but Statesboro was strictly a college town. And we just didn't want to raise our family there. And so getting back closer to our parents, me growing up right outside of Fayetteville, and my wife's from right outside of Charlotte. So getting back to North Carolina was a big deal at the time, and we've been able to raise our family here. Now all of our children are finished college or in college. So, it's one of those things that I've looked back and I've had zero regret because, and I tell my recruits this when I talked to them, I said, what led me here and leaving Division I to go to Division III, it was a big decision. But I said, what led me here was the people I work with and then the people I work for. And it's always good people. And that's important to me. I like that, and I truly mean it when I tell them that. It's not just a line; it's my belief, and I like who I work for. Bob McAvoy hired me, and Dave Evanson is our current athletic director, and it has been just an absolute great ride. And but the people I work with as well. I like to have fun, and sometimes they're the brunt of my jokes and all, but they're getting used to it. I think after 22 years. So.
You mentioned your kids. Our last interview was with Coach Terranova, who told us both of his kids turned out to be goalkeepers like himself. So, do your kids have any interest in volleyball?
My daughter played high school volleyball and club volleyball travel, and wound up going to the University of North Carolina as well. And she is not playing there, though, but she is actually has got her training as an official, and she is a referee doing some travel volleyball refereeing at this particular point. So she's keeping her toes in volleyball at this particular point.
Awesome. So you have had 20-plus win seasons in 2010, 2011, and 2015 here at Methodist.
Okay.
What made those seasons so successful? It's
always the people. Kids on the team would buy into it and would understand what we're trying to accomplish. They not only had the skill, but they also had the drive. And that's what is important. When you're trying to accomplish something that may not have been accomplished a lot, you've got to have those kids that come in and buy into that kind of attitude. And those absolutely bought into it, and it was good. It was very good.
How would you describe or explain your coaching style?
I get asked that a lot. That seems to be on every recruit's radar, volleyball recruit. So describe your. Um, my simple philosophy is practices are my time, games are your time. And as everybody has seen during matches, I try to stay relaxed. I'm on the bench and I will give people feedback, but I want them to know that I'm not going to be yelling and screaming and attacking them on the court. That's their time. Practice, from our time slot that's when I'm going to be coaching you up to tell you how to do things. So in a match, how you react is how you were trained in practice. So I've always been that believer that some people try to make drastic changes, and sometimes you have to make drastic changes in a match to, ebb and flow of how it's going. But I've always been a big believer in that you don't win matches necessarily in the game time. You win them in the preparation and in the scouting beforehand.
I've got a few rapid response questions for you. So the first one is, excluding volleyball, what is your favorite Olympic sport?
Curling.
Curling.
Yes.
Explain.
I just love to watch it. So whenever the Winter Olympics is on and curling is on, I've got a friend that lives up in Richmond, Virginia, and he is just absolutely curling crazy. And so he sends out stuff on Facebook all the time about different things. So people think I'm joking when I say curling, and I keep bugging Coach Evanson about us adding curling as a sport. But anyway, I do enjoy watching that. So.
Have you ever tried your hand at it?
No, never been, had an opportunity. No, nowhere close. So just love watching it. Love watching beach volleyball. Beach volleyball obviously is a derivative as well, and totally different than indoor. People think it's just if you do one, you do the other, but beach volleyball is so different, but love watching it as well.
As a UNC alum, can you list your top 3 Tar Heels?
Oh, wow. Yes. I was one. It has to be one of the gentlemen. I roomed with Pete Chilka, who's a former basketball player at Carolina. So Pete is always super high on my list. Also, Rick Fox, who's ventured on. He played for the Lakers for a while, and obviously Michael is always up there. But I've never met him. I've just his game is phenomenal. And so, it's one of those things. James Worthy, Phil Ford, all those guys are just, obviously we're a basketball school. We're still trying to become a football school, but it's definitely a basketball school. So.
All right, last one. Name the coolest place you've ever been.
Wow, Milan, Italy. I was there working with a men's professional team. Again, with the gentleman who I worked with in '96 in the Olympics. He went over to work with a men's professional team and invited me, and we got to stay with Doug Beal and Tom Reed. Doug Beal was the men's Olympic coach that won the first gold medal in 1984. And just to see Doug operate and see how he works, Milan holds such a special place in my heart because, I'd played men's volleyball, but I'd never been around men's volleyball. And to see that level again, of international volleyball, and to see the rabid fans. We talk about, how people get crazy here in America over NFL football. It's phenomenal to see that across the world, how rabid they were about volleyball. It was just unbelievable. So Milan holds a special place in my heart.
So we're going to look ahead to this upcoming season just for a minute. First, obviously, you start 10 games away from home, but what are you looking forward to about your couple of multi-team events in Maryville, Tennessee, and Salem, Virginia?
It'll be the preseason will basically be a filling out process for us. And we've got a new outside hitter coming in that transferred in back in January. I think she's going to play a big role in our success this year. We've got two returners who were all conference, Hannah, my starting setter, and Janana, my starting middle blocker. The core pieces are certainly in place, and we're certainly excited about that. But having an outside hitter who now is a terminator and being able to work around that, I think is going to will surprise people. I definitely know that, but I'm excited about getting everybody out there and just see how the pieces start to mesh.
Mm-hmm. So you've got a couple of try matches this season with Mary Baldwin and Brevard. What can Methodist take advantage of in those settings where you're playing two teams in the same day?
One of the nice things this year is, and if you notice from previous years, we're going from 6 tri-match weekends to 2 tri-match weekends, which I think is a great thing. Prepping a team for 2 matches in one conference matches in one day is very difficult, scouting wise and all that. So now we're going to be able to. We're going to home and home where we're playing those teams on the weekend, but we're only playing one team. So going to those 2 try matches that you mentioned, it's going to be better, I think, for the health of the girls and for the health of the team. Not only the mental health, but the physical health. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think the young ladies on the team are going to respond very well to that. I'm excited about the new schedule.
Great. Lastly, you wrap up the season with 3 out of your last 4 games at home here in the Riddle Center, including a match on the 26th, just before homecoming Saturday festivities. So what are you looking forward to about that stretch there at the end?
It's always good to play at home. And with this new schedule that I just alluded to, we've got more home matches this year than we've had in the past 8 years. So that's exciting to showcase our talents to our home fans. We normally draw pretty well into Riddle Center, and I'm excited about giving that opportunity to the young ladies where they can show what they can do. Having that Thursday night match before homecoming, we're playing Meredith, and it's going to be exciting. Hopefully that's going to be a great kickoff to homecoming weekend.
I hope so. Well, Coach, that's all we've got for you today, but thanks for your time. This was a blast.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. Go Monarchs.